Hey everybody, I'm Scott Weichel. You're listening to My Kind of Country on MKOCRadio.com. Got a guest artist with me tonight. It's got a brand new song called Country Music's Gone to Shit, and I couldn't agree more. He has traveled all over the world, has recorded and worked with some of the greatest in country music, and he's here with us to talk about his new song and his career tonight. This is Rob Dixon. Rob, how are you tonight?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Pleasure to talk with you. Appreciate you taking time to be on the show.
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Well, tell me about this brand new single you've got out, and we are an internet station, and by gosh, we don't edit the songs, so we're talking about the song as it is. There's no editing here.
And so you're actually playing the non-radio edit one on your show?
Yes, we are. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, that's kind of cool then, because all the other stations I talk to, obviously they have to play the radio edit version.
Absolutely. Yeah, we don't fall under FCC regulations, and I don't think that shit is a really bad word to say, so I think my listeners can handle that. Especially when it's
I'm
the
glad
truth.
you like the song.
I love the song. It very much stands for what we believe in here at My Kind of Country. We're all about real country music, and I can tell by this song that that's the way you are too. Tell me about how this song came about for you.
Oh, probably mainly just kind of the way the title is. It's one of those things where my band and I will be sometimes standing around in the club, like when we're on break, and they're playing, the current country on the DJ system, and some song will come on, and we'll all just kind of scoff and go, "Oh my, that's horrible," or that doesn't sound like country. And so we've made that reference several times. Country music's gone to, and it's something we've said numerous times, and it's one day it just kind of clicked in my head that maybe I should try to write something based around that thought process. So I did. I kind of jotted down some ideas, and just kind of over the course of maybe probably a couple of years that I just kind of messed with it, just kind of kept throwing little ideas down on paper in a tablet, and that was really the beginning of it, I guess. And then a couple of months ago, or actually about 4 months ago, I decided to really sit down and just try to finish the song. And so I did, and over the course of 3 or 4 days of just sitting in my studio and picking it apart and changing lines around and stuff like that, I just finally got it finished, and then I just started working on a recording for it. So I kind of liked what it said when I got it done. So I said, I don't know if radio's going to play this or not, but I'm gonna at least put my thoughts out there.
Well, I'm certainly glad you did, and we are certainly playing it, and I've got listeners all over the world that love the song. And, of course, I want to thank our mutual friend Eric for putting us in touch. And Eric sends me a lot of great artists. He listens to the show all the time, and he's always checking out other artists, so I'm really glad he got us in touch today. So thank you, Eric. I know you'll be listening to this.
That was kind of cool. The day that it actually came out on through the distribution company, which is called CD Tex, the day they put that out, Eric sent me an email, and so I was sitting on the sofa looking at my emails, and here's an email from a guy from Sweden, and I started reading, and he had gotten it from the CD Tex distribution place, and he was very complimentary about it and said he loved the song and was going to start playing it, and then shortly after that he sent me an email about sending it to you, so I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, he's done that for me quite a bit, and I appreciate that. He's got good ears, and he knows what my taste is. So I'm really glad that he hooked us up today. That's fantastic. Well, you grew up in Maryland and are from there originally, but you're in Texas now, and you've had a pretty storied career in country music. Give me a little bit of your historical background here.
Well, I don't know if you'd call it storied, but I have. I feel like I got really, really lucky to get involved in country music when it was still, really great country music, at least what I consider great country music. My dad played guitar and sang, and I grew up around somebody who I saw as a singer. I mean, he didn't sing professionally. He just sang for his buddies, on Friday and Saturday night, that kind of thing. And but he and his brothers, he and several of my uncles, had started going to the DJ convention that they used to awards, and they had it was actual DJ convention where all the record labels in Nashville basically invited the DJs from around the country to come, and they would entertain them, have all the artists on each of the record labels be performing, and it was just a whole mecca of country music. And my dad would always talk about going and how he met Ernest Tubb, or he met Buck Owens, or so and so, came to his hotel room and sat down and started playing music with him, just all sorts of Farron Young and all sorts of people like that. So I had all these visions in my head about all these country music stars that were in Nashville. So when I graduated from high school in '72, my dad took me to the DJ convention. He told me once I graduated, he would take me to the convention. And so I actually got to go to the DJ convention for about 4 or 5 years in a row and meet all sorts of wonderful people. And then I moved to Nashville in 1977. And when I first moved to Nashville, I went to work with the Stamps Quartet, which were the singers that sang behind Elvis the last 7 years of his life. So I started touring around the country with the Stamps Quartet. I left the Stamps Quartet in 1978, and then I went to work with David Houston. And going to work with David Houston, who was a famous Grand Ole Opry star and a great singer, and had some big hit records. Almost Persuaded was his big hit. I got to play on the Grand Ole Opry. And by getting to play on the Grand Ole Opry with David, I got to meet, Roy Acuff and, Minnie Pearl, and I mean, just all sorts of amazing people that I grew up idolizing and just believe that they were all part of the music that I loved, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And worked in Nashville, worked with David for about a year. Put my own band together and played in a club in Nashville, which at the time was one of the bigger clubs in Nashville. It was called Farron Young Celebrity Ballroom. And we had a house band there, and Farron would actually come in there and play at times. He would come in and sit in with us, and at times, and we backed up some other artists. We backed up Merle Kilgore came in, and we played behind him one time. Let's see who else. Like I say, Farron came in several times and performed with us. So we were kind of just a house band in a club that had a lot of tourist trade for people coming to Nashville. And then in 1979 or early '80, I went to work with George Jones, and I worked with George Jones for 2 years. And then that's what ended up bringing me to Texas. Working with George was incredible, but it was also during the No-Show Jones time. George was still having a lot of problems, with drinking and other horrible things that he was doing to himself. And it was really troublesome to me to see him do that to himself. And so I couldn't stay in that environment because I don't drink and I don't do drugs, and it really bothered me to see him do that to himself. So I left George and moved to Texas and went to work at Billy Bob's Texas, which had just opened in '81. And then I put my own band together here in Texas in the spring of '82, and I've been here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area since 1982 playing music full time. But during the time I was with George, then I also got to meet, and see and visit with lots of other people, and Tammy and Don Williams and Marty Robbins and Johnny Cash, and just Jerry Lee Lewis. There was just a plethora of people that would come to George's shows whenever they could, and so we always got to meet all those country music stars, or a lot of them we did shows with. So that was really a great thing for me to witness and just be part of. Was that type of country.
Were you, there was an Austin City Limits concert that was done about that time that George Jones did. Were you on that show with him?
Yes, I was on the 1980 show of Austin City Limits, and there's a YouTube video. There used to be several of them on YouTube, but there's still one out there that's fairly easy to find. That's an excerpt from that show where George is singing Bartender's Blues, and and I'm standing. Actually, Johnny Gimbel standing just behind George, and then I'm standing right beside Johnny Gimbel.
Oh, that's really cool. I wish they would release that concert. I thought that was a fantastic show. George sounded really good on that show, and it was a really good show. I love the steel player on that. He was wearing a Tammy Wynette T-shirt. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, yeah. That was actually a suggestion from George's manager to because we were doing shows with Tammy then. I mean, George and Tammy were divorced, but they were still a big draw for people to come see them perform together. And so we did lots of shows with Tammy Wynette and her whole band. So yeah, we were all good friends with both of the bands were. And so yeah, when we did that show that day, they said, Calvin, the steel guitar player, said, "I've got a Tammy Wynette shirt I can wear," and somebody said, "Yeah, that'd be great." So it was kind of cool.
That is really cool. That's a great show. What was it? What was it like at that time? I know that obviously there's a lot of shows that were scheduled, and you guys would get there and set up and ready to go and everything, and then George didn't perform. What was it like as a band having to cover that?
It was terrifying sometimes. Because there were people that were extremely emotional about getting to see George. I mean, I remember that we did a show one time, and what we would do, the band, it was divided into like two halves, and every other night, half the band would sell concessions before the show, and then the next night, the other half of the band would sell concessions. Well, this one particular night, we were playing some big concert somewhere, and I think Tammy was on the show, and it might have been Jerry Lee Lewis on the show also. So it was a big crowd in a big coliseum, a lot of people, and we were out there selling concessions, and a man walked up to the concession table, and he said to me, he says, "Is George here?" And I said, "Yeah, he's here." He says, "He's really here?" And I said, "Yeah, he's really here. He's on the bus. We've already sound checked. We're all ready to go. We're just waiting for our time to end the show." And he said, "Well, I've come to see him 8 times, and he's never showed up yet. But I'm going to keep coming to see him until he finally shows up." And sure enough, George put on a great show that night. And after the show, the guy came back to the concession table and bought an album or whatever, and thanked me for letting him. I mean, so people were just really, people that were fans of George Jones were diehard fans, and some of those times when he wouldn't show up, people would get really upset, and there could be some bad things happen. I mean, we were in actual riot in Logan, Ohio, when I was with George because he didn't show up.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, his fans stayed
Yeah,
loyal
I mean,
to him.
the people actually stormed the stage and destroyed PA system and threatened to turn over our bus. There were like 100 people standing beside the bus, rocking the bus because they thought George was on the bus with us, and he wasn't. He had actually run off. He had actually come with us to the show, come with us to the town that we were performing in, and then while we were setting up, he snuck out of the hotel and took off.
Wow.
So yeah, it could be. But then 2 nights later, we might play a show somewhere, and he would just be brilliant, and you would just, it would be 180, sometimes a complete 180-degree change from one night to the next. You just never knew what was going to happen.
That's incredible. That's incredible. What a story. Well, RobDixon.com is the website to go. The brand new single is Country Music's Gone to Shit. And, of course, we're going to play that for you here in just a minute. And, Rob, I know you've got some tour dates, and you can get all that information on the website. And you've got a couple other albums out, Let Me Sing You a Song and Through Her Eyes. And I believe those are available on your website as well. Is that right?
Through Her Eyes is, but the earlier album, that's actually an album, like a vinyl album, and those aren't available anymore unless at some point in time I can have it all transferred to digital, and put it out as a CD. But
absolutely. Are you working on a new album to go with this song?
Yes. Yeah, I've got a bunch of more original songs, and we're going to try to put out an album, sometime in the next 4 or 5 months, a complete album which will probably be entitled Country Music's Gone to Shit, but it's going to be mostly originals. I'm thinking about going back and doing a few old country songs, cover songs, a couple of maybe a Merle Haggard song and maybe a George Jones song or something, but it's going to be mostly original songs.
Well, great. Will you come back and visit with me when you get it done?
Absolutely.
I'd love to, man. I'd love to hear it and do a feature out of it. That'll be fantastic. Well, Rob, thanks so much for taking time to be on the show, and we're going to play your latest song right now. Again, it's robdixon.com, and here's Country Music's Gone to Shit as we continue with My Kind of Country here on mkocradio.com. Rob, thanks again.
Thank you very much.
I ain't against Nashville, that's not what gets my goat. I'm against the crap that keeps shoving down our throat. Sure as hell ain't country, they should use another name. The music and the singers and the songs all sound the same. And all across the country, folks have gotten tired of it. Yeah, the real fans know country music's gone to shit. It started in the 90s, been going down for years. Shows became a circus full of smoke and mirrors. Corporation money bought out the heart and soul, swiftly killed the music in search of younger gold. Now they rap instead of singing, and man, that ain't legit. Yeah, the real fans know country music's gone to shit. Oh, Waylon, Cash, and Haggard, they're all turning in their graves. Hell, they ain't just turning, they're spinning like a lathe. If they could all come back, they'd be kicking someone's ass for screwing up the legacy they thought would always last. On radio today, old Possum would never have a hit. All of his fans know country music's gone to shit. Real country is still out there, from sea to shining sea, in honky-tonks and bars and a little on TV. But Nashville doesn't listen, yeah, they think that we are wrong. We want steel guitar and fiddle in our country songs. In Texas we keep praying George Strait will never quit, and all of his fans know country music's gone to shit. Oh, Marty, Hank, and Lefty, they're all turning in their graves. Hell, they ain't just turning, they're spinning like a lathe. If they could all come back, they'd be kicking someone's ass for screwing up the legacy they thought would always last. If he was just discovered, oh, Willie would never have a hit. Not a record anyway. All of his fans know country music's gone to shit. Yeah, the real fans know Nashville music's gone to shit.